So let's get the inside skinny here on what's going on in Wisconsin. Lisa Graves is with us with prwatch.org. She's the executive director of the Center for Media and Democracy in Madison, which runs a couple of really great organizations. prwatch.org, probably one of the most notable. Lisa, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you with us. Let's talk about, if we may, unless there's some specific news that you want to talk about or break or say or whatever. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, the first to file the recall efforts here in Wisconsin last night was a Utah right-wing group. So that was a bit of news that the recall effort is being orchestrated out of state.
Oh, interesting. And this is to recall who?
To recall the 14 Democratic senators who have stood up to Scott Walker and his efforts to bust the unions here and try to bust the unions across the country.
Now, what about the effort to recall some of the Republican legislators?
I believe that is being led in state, and we don't have a report yet about how many of those members on the Republican side have had recall petitions filed, but I understand that there are several underway.
Interesting. But big bucks coming in from out of state, right-wing bucks coming in from out of state to recall the 14 Democrats. Go ahead.
That's right. Americans for Prosperity has announced that they're running about $350,000 worth of ads, and Club for Growth, along with a group called League of American Voters and the Republican Governors Association, and I think also another anti-teachers union group are weighing in. So we've probably got at least $1 million of ads going on and robocalls going on in the state from out of state. And
I'm assuming most of these are the recipients of Koch brother money?
Certainly, Americans for Prosperity, which is chaired by David Koch, is a major recipient of Koch money, as is the Republican Governors Association, which received a $1 million check from Mr. Koch last summer.
Along with $1 million from Rupert Murdoch.
Along with, Murdoch's million and $8 million from a Texas real estate developer.
Amazing. So the Republican Governors Association and the Koch's investment in Scott Walker and the return that the Kochs are getting on their investment in Scott Walker. Can you talk about that a little bit? We're talking with Lisa Graves, the executive director of the Center for Media and Democracy in Madison, prwatch.org.
Well, sure, Tom. Mr. Koch, David Koch, has a long-standing desire to basically break unions, to limit employee rights. And I think that this stand here, which is being promoted by another group Mr. Koch funds, ALEC, the American Legislative Center, is part of that strategy. And so there's that ideological agenda. And as we know, the week that Walker was inaugurated, Koch Industries basically started a new lobby shop in town. So I think they're hoping to do business with the state. As Walker said, Wisconsin's open for business. As we saw last night, Wisconsin is open for business and not for ordinary citizens, as Walker and his cronies were trying to shut down access to the Capitol by protesters.
Yeah, although that was stopped this morning by a judge just hours ago with a state restraining order.
That's right. We won, we collectively, the citizenry, won a temporary restraining order against this effort to limit access to the Capitol. And this is a right that is basically part of the Wisconsin Constitution.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on, or what do you know, or can you reasonably guess will be the essence of Scott Walker's speech tonight?
Well, I think he's going to continue to spread his misinformation about the true state of the budget, the true causes of the budget. I doubt he's going to acknowledge the most salient fact, which is that the unions have agreed to all of the financial terms he has imposed, but he has refused to negotiate with them and sit down. He wants to destroy their rights. I think that he's going to also lay out pretty much what we would call an austerity program to cut medical benefits, to cut people's access to insurance, and try to blame the Democrats for that if they don't come back to the state. So I think he's going to continue his effort to basically become the Ken doll to Sarah Palin's Barbie in the right-wing talk show circuit.
Well, I think what he's actually trying to do is become the next Ronald Reagan, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see in 2012 or 2016 him as a VP candidate. But we'll see. You said he's going to perpetuate the misinformation. That wasn't the word you used, but that's what stuck in my head about both the budget crisis and the cause of it. Can you clarify those for us?
Sure. There's been a lot of back and forth about what is the cause of Wisconsin's budget situation. First of all, Scott Walker did push through, with the help of his allies in the State House here, budget cuts, or basically tax cuts and tax relief for businesses as one of his first orders of business here, before he announced this effort to basically break the union's back. And Wisconsin did not have as severe budget crisis as many of the states may have. The budget authority here said that Wisconsin, was not on track for having this supposed $3 billion budget shortfall that Walker has been claiming. And in fact, what we know here from solid studies is that Wisconsin's pension fund for public employees is one of the strongest in the state. So the suggestion that...
You mean one of the strongest in the nation?
Pardon me, one of the strongest in the nation. That's right. Sorry about that. One of the strongest in the nation. So the idea that that workers here, that public workers here, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police, and others are the cause of the budget crisis in Wisconsin is just false. We all know that the budget problems here and across the country are caused in part by the two wars going on abroad and Wall Street gambling that really crushed our economy.
Yeah. Well, you and I may know that, but I don't think anybody who watches Fox News has any idea of that. And I'm wondering, we typically in campaigns, in political campaigns, the candidate, more than 98% of the time, as you well know, the candidate who spends the most money is a candidate who wins.
Right.
What is going to be the consequence of $1 million poured into one little state? And I realize geographically Wisconsin's fairly large, but population-wise, it's a medium or small-sized state. $1 million poured into the media outlets of that state to basically carpet bomb the citizens with a message. Well, I would characterize it as half-truths and lies, but I'm sure that they would disagree with that characterization. But whatever it is, a particular message, is that going to grab hold, or has there been so much publicity, and there's so many people now radicalized by Muammar Walker's efforts that it can't work, that it might even backfire?
I think it risks backfiring. Here's a guy who came into office in part because the Republican Governors Association spent $5 million in the state, basically running down his opponent in the race. So it is the case that $1 million could go a long way in Wisconsin. But what's been happening is, over 100,000 people came out to the Capitol here on Saturday, and that may not sound like a big number in Washington, D.C. Measures, but the fact is that Madison only has a population of 250,000 itself.
Wow.
It was a huge number. It's the largest sustained nonviolent protest ever in Wisconsin history. It's been an enormous outcry from cities across the state. And I think that this misinformation campaign is likely to backfire, especially because there's now so much more known about who these outside special interests, these oil companies and other oil barons, et cetera, who are bankrolling the general funding of these groups that are funding these ads. Right. And I think that they're just not going to be able to perpetrate the lie that they are on Fox News that claims that this is all about the budget and not about the concessions. Because those ads, I've watched almost all of them, none of them make the point or even concede the point that the unions have agreed to all the financial terms. They just don't want to have their rights destroyed by this bill.
Right. And of course, as Shepard Smith pointed out, ironically, on Fox News the other day, 10 largest donors to the last election cycle, 7 of them were billionaires and corporations, 3 of them were unions. All those 3 went to Democrats, the other 7 went to Republicans. If they can get rid of the unions, if they can bust the unions, they got one-party rule.
Yeah, they're looking for one-party rule, that's for sure.
And these are the same people, ironically, whose father founded the John Birch Society, who hated the Soviet Union because it was one-party rule.
Yeah, there's a lot of ironies here. We're documenting on prwatch.org. We'd love to have people come visit.
prwatch.org. Check it out. Lisa Graves, thank you.